Meltdown over Pepsi. So I've mentioned we are severely understaffed, so working morning shift was me and a manager. We shut drive-thru down. This couple comes in, complains about everything on the menu. That's too much meat, that's too expensive, I don't like bacon, ew, grilled chicken. So they finally settle. We have signs everywhere saying we have Pepsi, not Coke. So I give him his cup, he walks over to the station, and I hear him screaming, "What the F? They only got Pepsi, no Coke? Nasty!" He storms back up and demands a Coke. The manager tells him we have Pepsi products, not Coke. He flings his cup at her. Luckily, it was empty, screaming about how nasty Pepsi is and how dare we not have Coke. She told him to get out. His food wasn't ready and he was like, "No, not without my food." She gave him vouchers for replacement meals and told him they could use them at another location because they were banned from here. We were like, really? A meltdown of that proportion because we don't have Coke? In situations like these, it's always fascinating that they blame the employees. It's like, I did not choose to have us have Coke. This is a company thing. I'm sitting here like, too much meat? What could that even mean? Where, obviously they're not gonna tell us what restaurant they're at, but what do you mean too much? What universe have they come from? Are they so oblivious that they've never noticed a fast food restaurant will have Coke or Pepsi? Never both? Well, never say never. I think I've been to a couple restaurants where they have both, but it's still a very strange phenomena. People flip out in my drive-thru over not having Pepsi products. Do you have root beer? Pepsi? Mountain Dew? Okay, well, what do you have? Admittedly, I'll get bummed out if I go to a restaurant that I knew had Pepsi but they switched to Coke because I'm just looking for that good old Mountain Dew, but I'm not gonna yell at the people. They didn't choose to do this to me. I don't know how you continue to go to work, dude. Oh, you see, it's simple. They still need money. All I wanted was a Pepsi, and she wouldn't give it to me. That's really how customers sound. Like, you're just complaining about nothing at this point. I prefer Coke to Pepsi. When I'm facing a store that only sells Pepsi products like most adults, I deal with it and get Pepsi instead. Maybe a root beer if they have it. It's 36 cents, no big deal. So I used to work at an ice cream chain where we prepared the ice cream with various toppings on a frozen piece of rock. On this particular day, I was working with one other person and it wasn't too busy. Two young guys came in, about high school age. They ordered a large bowl of ice cream with a few toppings. I mixed it for them and went to ring them up. I'll use G for guy since I really just talked to one of them. Me, okay, so that'll be XX amount of dollars. G, okay, I have a gift card. Me, great. Scans card. So it looks like you owe another 36 cents after the gift card. At the point, they both looked at each other and shrugged sadly. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have any money with me. Never mind. Oh, hey, it's cool. Only 36 cents. I take the 36 cents out of the tip jar and put it in the till. No big deal. Wow, thanks. The two guys leave and I thought that was that. Felt good doing something nice. So the one guy comes back several hours later. I saw him come in and went to the register to meet him. Oh, hey, you're back. Did you need anything else? Before I finished and without looking at me once or saying a word, he dropped a $20 bill in the jar and immediately turned and left. I was so shocked, I just stared after him until he walked out the door. So that was pretty cool. Edit, holy crap, this blew up. Thank you for the gold, stranger. Well, you don't normally see a happy ending in a situation like that. I was expecting the kid to come back and steal money again or something. Not at all where I thought this was going. Nice, kid. I was definitely expecting this to be one of those stories with the crazy mom buying ice cream for her kid and she is 36 cents short and tries to get away with leaving because it's just 36 cents. I took a quarter out of my own wallet to spot a customer once and they didn't come back and give me a 20. I feel cheated. It is unfortunate that it's pretty rare a customer will actually, give back if you do a good thing. These are the stories I love to read on this sub. What a kind young man. 36 cents is nothing. I've done things like said, don't worry about it. I went to buy something the other day and I had small change. I was counting at first, I didn't know if I had enough, and the woman said to just get as close as I could. As it was, I had enough, but she was just so nice about it. But for him to come back and do that, it goes to show how much of a difference you made to his day. This is just the sweet kind of story I like to see at this time in the morning. The day I pretended to be someone's dad. The owner is a family friend and asked me if I could cover because they were short on staff. So I think this counts on TFR. This takes place in a small convenience store. There wasn't much to do, so I decided to walk around, maybe reorganize misplaced items, when suddenly a kid, maybe 3 to 4 years old, holds my hand. I kinda look around to see if someone lost their kid, and then I see a young lady gave me a "go on" gesture. I'm a bit confused as what she wants me to do, but whatever. I was bored, and this kid looked cooler than my friends, so I asked if he liked candy, and asked which one he liked. He didn't say anything and just pointed to some gummy worms. Me, "That's cool, me too. I like the sour ones because I can make this face." Sour face. This made the kid laugh. Boy, "I love you, Daddy." Hugs me. TBH, I freaked out a bit and thought this kid couldn't possibly be mine. As I looked over to the young lady, she started tearing up. "I love you too, son." The boy ran back to the lady. The lady walks up to me and hugs me. Lady, "I'm so sorry for that. My husband just passed away 2 days ago. This is the first time I saw him talk since that day." "I'm sorry for your loss." "Thank you." They proceeded to leave. The boy is waving his gummy worms at me and I do the sour face and he does the same. Edit. Wow, didn't expect this to go as big as it did. Thanks for the gold, strangers, and thank you people for the kind words. Oh my god, like what is up with all this wholesomeness going on right now, huh? Still a little creepy the kid called you dad, but that's just, it's so sweet, I don't know. This is much cuter than what I was expecting. Good on you for helping that mom and son out in their hard times. Time to do some Big Brother volunteer work. Even if you don't, good on you. Do they even still do the Big Brother program? I haven't heard of that in a good few years. Who's cutting gummy worms in here? Strong onion flavor? What? Onion flavor gummy worms are real. That's so adorable. My mom is a geriatric nurse and I go hang out at the nursing home she works at since I've been unemployed. I've spent entire days pretending to be the granddaughter of like 3 little old ladies. It makes them feel better having a visitor and is fun for me too. Karens are starting to realize some of the dynamic have changed. Last week, glorious night. Party of 6 comes in headed by a Karen. Wants 2 4-top high tops pushed together. Host says can't do it. Social distancing. You'll be too close to the other table next to you now.
Let me speak to the manager.
She's calm, just insistent, and it's obvious she's played the card before. I roll up. How can I help? Can we push those 2 tables together? No, can't. Social distancing, and now you're too close to the next table. You can have that table that's for 6 in the corner. You can have that booth for 6 after we clean it, or you can have that table for 6 outside after they get up. About 10 minutes. All the while, I'm pointing to each table like I'm showing them emergency exits on an airplane.
You can't push those tables together?
Nope, we will not be moving tables. You can have, and point out the tables again.
You know what I think?
Begins turning to her friends.
You know what I think?
Both of them together.
We go somewhere else.
At this point, I clap my hands together and say, "Thank you and have a great night," and immediately turn around and walk away. The best part is Karen stares at the back of my head for a solid 2 seconds before she shuffled out. I didn't realize this until I watched the video of the exchange. Easily made number 3 in my career highlight reel, but only one of the handful of Karen moments since we reopened. Edit. I told the tales of number 2 and number 3 somewhere in the comments, so that's where the details are, but I'll sum them up. Number 2 is actually a tie between when I told a guest we would not let her order specific items anymore due to weeks of eating free because of her blatant scamming. That's tied with the husband who picked up the menu and held it in front of his wife's face and said, This is what they have. What's on the menu?" That was his response when she called me over to ask why we didn't have mahi mahi anymore and got worked up when I said, "Sorry, we've never had that here before." Number 1 is when a drunken crazy lady tried to fight me and get inside my restaurant because I was hiding her husband. I almost lost because she was strong. It'll never, ever fail to amuse me when Karens think that, "Oh, well, I'll just go somewhere else." Why do you think that's gonna work? I'm a minimum wage employee. I don't care where you go. If anything, I'm glad you're not here because then I don't have to work. I had a man who sat himself, first mistake, saw on the table a paper taped to it saying, "Table closed due to..." He picked up the paper and threw it aside to another table. I had so much pleasure in telling him he can't just ignore that paper and may not sit there. He had an "Are you serious?" response. He moved tables, but not without major attitude. The pandemic was really, really bad, but the only good thing that it did was really shine a light on all of these entitled weirdos who go out to restaurants expecting the world to bend to their whim. Good for you. That must have been so satisfying. Let's hope this is the beginning of the anti-Karen revolution. I never understand why managers put up with demanding twits like this. I always was willing to lose their business if it meant I never had to deal with them again. Had no F's to give for people who tried to intimidate or harass me into doing what they wanted. People like this don't tip, always demand discounts, and they're a nightmare for servers and bartenders. We're due to reopen next Monday, and honestly, I can't wait to talk shit to the first MF who thinks they can move my tables around. I've already prepared a speech for the occasion. How dare you be so reasonable in your attempt at accommodating her request? I know, right? Like, how dare you suggest other open and available tables in the restaurant for them to sit at? Awesome new manager breaks cycle with homeless guy outside. My old manager was a real working for the weekend type and never went out of their way for us or the customers, no matter what. One of the most difficult things about her was we had a homeless guy who'd camp out in our back alley because a lot of heat comes off a vent back there, and she'd always make us toss him out because he was visible to customers from the main entrance. She's gone, and we have a new manager now. Her first week, one of the employees said, "Hey, that guy's back," and the new manager said, "This guy here often?" And we told her the whole story. She asked what our interactions with him had been like, and we told her perfectly pleasant, considering the circumstances. She walks out, shakes the guy's hand, and offers him a dishwashing job on a trial basis. She had one of the busboys help him get cleaned up and put him right to work. He knocked it out of the park, made good, honest money, and got staff dinner. She told him he was welcome to come back to work any night of the week, and if he was consistent, she'd see about getting him hired. That was 2 weeks ago, and he started on permanent basis today. Edit. Thanks for the medals. Edit to add, I can't believe how this post is blown up. I just showed it to him and he was honestly a bit freaked out by the whole thing, but touched by the incredible support and personal stories people shared. He's been able to move back in with his brother now that he has a job and is saving up all the money he makes here. He's a month clean and says things are going better now than they have in a long time. He says thanks again. Yeah, your first manager, evil, glad she's gone. Your new manager, actually a hero. My God, this is so nice. This is beautiful. I was homeless a few years ago and I got back on my feet because someone took a chance with me, and I am eternally grateful. Huh, strange. It's almost like demonizing and ignoring homeless people doesn't actually change anything, but giving them a chance does. Hell yeah! What a great manager! I love this story, and it may have been taken care of already, but OP, if anyone you know or work with has clothes to fit, he could probably use them so he doesn't have to wear the same things daily, unless you guys are issued uniforms or something. I tell my mom all the time it wouldn't do for me to live where anyone is homeless. I would be dragging them home with me. Yes, I would die first in every horror movie ever made. I mean, I guess you might die in a horror movie, but at least you're compassionate. That's the most wholesome service story I've ever heard, and I've had my own fair share of both good and bad ones in my 6 years in the business. This makes my heart so happy. Yeah, I've been to jail. No shame here. The other day, I had a woman call me from Nevada asking about rates for a weekend she could come out and see her man who is locked up here. He was recently transferred from a facility in a place it was more economical to visit than here. My heart instantly dropped for her because our room rates were ridiculous, and none of the discounts I could give her other than my own personal one, which I'm still 30 days out from being able to use, were available. She gasped when I told her the price. I told her about a few hotels that she could most likely afford that are even closer to our big-ass men's prison. And we talked about how she was thinking of taking the megabus to San Francisco, which is 4.5 hours away minimum, and I told her about an airline that could fly her from the same price and she'd touch down 45 minutes south of where she'd want to be, and be able to take public transport to town to save her some cash. She finally stopped me and said, "Girl, why you being so cool with me? I'm not even staying with you." I said, "Ma'am, I've done some time myself, and I understand going to jail is expensive, and I feel you because some of my friends have been locked up in places I can't get to, so if I can help, I'll help." She started laughing and said, "You know what? You've been the most real person I've talked to today. I said prison to some other clerk, and they hung up on me." My man got run up on a pot charge. It's some shit, I'll tell you, but he's getting out next year, and when he gets out, I want you to plan my trip to pick him up. You're real, and you're sweet, and you know your shit." And I laughed and said I'd be honored and told her to write my name down and ask for me when she called again because I'd get her a better rate when the summer was over. And to let me call over to the cheaper hotel I thought of that's closer to the prison and let them know she'd be calling. My girl V over there hooked this nice lady up. Sometimes I can be a superhero. It's always something like this where I'm guessing you work at a travel agency and actually using the human element of relating with the people who are calling it's just so good every time. Over a weed charge? The stuff is legal here and a few other states. People are smoking up legally while there are still folks in prison for smoking or selling. That shit's going to follow them the rest of their lives. Ridiculous. Oh yeah, I mean, in our Lord's year of 2023, the stinky grass is legal in a lot of places, so people who are still in jail for it, let them out. Second chances are a thing. I'm glad you were able to facilitate that for another person. I've never understood why people wouldn't want to give another person a second chance. I'm glad there are such a hard and fast rules about locations and brand names around here, because I'd go broke coming up with reasons to go vacation all over the place if I was able to pinpoint where the likes of Queen and Star and Nightwing, etc. all work. I don't even understand the crime that this guy did. It's just pot. It's not like he was going around shooting children in the face. Well, you see, our legal system's, it's a bit silly. And by silly, I mean broken. It's not really, it doesn't make sense. That's really kind of you. World needs more people like that. DoorDash driver threatens to get me fired for not accepting an order. It's been a while since I had a story worthy of posting on here, and boy, I can't make this shit up. So I'm messing around here on Reddit, and this black Jeep pulls up. No parking pass or any indication he works here. I get up, get to the door, and wave to the driver to get him to roll down. He climbs out of his car and hands me a brown paper bag with an order tag. Okay, this guy is DoorDash. Protocol says he has to park outside the turnstile and call his customer to retrieve it from there. Before I even get a chance to say anything, he tells me, "Employee X is going to pick up this food from me." Okay, I can hold on to the food for an employee. All I need is the employee's full name. Not exactly a hard thing to get, so I tell DoorDash this. And what's his reply? "It's Employee X." I say, "Oh, I need the employee's full name." DD says, "You don't need to have the full name. Employee X is gonna come to you and get their food." I say, "I can't accept it without the full name." DD says with the attitude of a Karen at Walmart, "You don't need the full name. Are you stupid or something? Give me your name." I say with the attitude of someone who clearly quit giving a fuck, "And why do you need my name?" DD says, "Because you're clearly too damn lazy to do your job, so I'm gonna get your ass fired. Now give me your name and the company's client's number." I say, "I don't need to give you my name. I don't answer to you, nor are you my boss." DD says, "Yes, you have to give me your name." I say, "No, I don't. You can make your delivery down by the turnstile. I need you out of this driveway. We've got people coming and going, and I don't need you blocking the gate." DD tries to argue with me, but by this point, I've long since run out of F's to give, shut the door to my booth, and gone back to Reddit. DD gives me a big hearty "F you, fat ass," and drives down to the turnstile. Funny enough, I watched him make his delivery. I know the guy he delivered to. He's one of the janitors who's not an employee, but a contractor. But I only know the guy by his nickname. This was some absurdly crazy and funny stuff. I hope you find it entertaining. Edit. Holy crap, this guy actually called the client. According to the lobby secretary, who usually receives all incoming calls, I not only refused to take the order, but told him to go F himself, called him a not so nice N-word that's offensive to black people, and I'm not typing that, and told him he should go back to picking cotton in the fields. Yikes. Luckily, the black female secretary knows me well and knows I'd never pull anything like that. I know I use the phrase Karen for storytelling purposes, but I think I was spot on dealing with a male Karen. Peace out and stay safe, y'all. Edit 2. I spoke to the janitor who ordered the food. Apparently DD was a dick to him too, so he's placing a complaint against the guy. For those saying I should put in a complaint, I did. Dear Lord, even that, you're DoorDash. Who do you think you are to demand things at a security gate? You're insane. And then to lie that hard is just Oh my god. You do realize you can call DoorDash and complain, right? When they do this, they are fired. I'm a Dasher. I was one day on break getting Chick-fil-A. Ordered through mobile, and a fellow Dasher thought he was entitled to my mobile spot, but he wasn't. He ended up getting fired because I complained with a video, and Chick-fil-A banned him and complained for harassing customers. As a Dasher, you know that we only get the first name and the initial of the last name. So while the Dasher could have called the customer, they still wouldn't know the customer's full name if they wanted to. I mean, I guess that's valid, but at the same time, they should not have freaked out like that. They should have said, okay, I guess I'll give them a phone call. That driver needs to be banned from the premises. Is there some way to get his Jeep put on the tell him to GTFO list if he shows up again? I got his plate number, but that's about it. At my site, I full-on reject any delivery orders unless it's an order for any management at my site. If it's for an employee, I tell them to call the person who ordered it to come get it. Security is not responsible for other people's food. There are some super entitled DoorDashers. I've had numerous park on sidewalks around my site because there was no street parking right next to the building, and when I try to send them to the parking lot some 40 feet away, their response is,
I'm making a delivery.
like that somehow makes it okay to drive/park on a sidewalk when there is a perfectly good empty parking lot 40 feet away. This is where I love having my body camera, because I always turn it on and document these kinds of events. Let them argue with that. So 3 preteens came into the store with their mom. This sounds like the beginning of a joke. A mother just came into my very small retail store with her 3 preteen kids. Normally, this spells disaster. However, these kids each had a couple of 20s and thoughtfully looked through the items in the store before selecting something, bringing it up to the register, buying it with the money from their pockets, and being extremely polite. As they left the register, the mom told the kids, "Make sure you save your receipts so we can budget tonight." One of the kids replied,
I always keep my receipts.
in the most polite way possible. Good on that mom for teaching her kids the value of money and financial planning. Just wanted to share because unlike most of the dross that comes through, they made my day genuinely better. I always expect these stories to end horribly. Keep your receipts so mommy can show you how to get away with claiming personal purchases as a business expense. Now that is a lesson I wish I had learned. I worked in a comic shop for a couple of years. Usually the kids were pretty good in the store because there was the threat of not getting whatever comic they wanted. One kid stood out. He was probably about 8. He made his purchase with his own money and then said in a very posh English accent,
Mummy, we mustn't tarry.
It was awesome and weird. Mom didn't have an accent beyond the one that River Oaks women in Houston seemed to develop. I guess his father was proper English. It's very possible, or the kid was just being a little goofy. He wanted to have an accent that day. I was at a mall candy store one time and a group of 8 to 10 young boys, maybe 10 to 12 years old, were there with a couple of adult supervisors. My friend and I mentioned to each other how good they were being, very polite and considerate. She mentioned it to one of the adults as we were leaving, and he told us they were children from a group home, and because of what she told him, they would get special privileges when they got back to the home. It was really sweet. Reminds me of the time a mom with her 8 kids came into the small clothing store where I worked, and it was one of the most pleasant families I've ever worked with. The mom also made it a point to ask them about saving some for their next shopping trip because they got to keep the change and so was trying to teach them saving at the same time. Super cool. I worked in a high-end boutique and a woman came in with 4 boys, the oldest of whom might have been 13. I put my game face on expecting to be completely annoyed. These were 4 of the most well-behaved, polite children I have ever encountered. They didn't touch anything, waited patiently. The family visited my store several times over the years, and the most memorable was when the boys came in on their own to choose and buy a gift for mom. That set of parents should teach classes or something. When I was working at a grocery store, this 9 to 12-year-old girl came in. I assume sent in by her parents, all the time. She was so polite and seemed really capable for someone her age. At least compared to what we would normally see out of that age. Honestly, she was one of the best customers we had, and I could probably count on one hand all the customers I liked while I was working there. The best phone call I had all day. I work in a shoe store as an assistant manager. I carry a store phone on me so I can answer it whenever I'm in the store. Today the phone would not stop ringing. People wanted to know what time we closed, where we were located, and a ton of shoe checks. So the phone rings and I answer it, and it sounds like a little kid. Kay will be kid.
Hello? Do you carry all black high-top vans for kids?
Let me check for you real quick. I'm sorry, we only have the low-top vans in all black for kids.
Okay, well, I like those too.
What size shoe do you wear?
1.5.
Okay, so I don't have a 1.5, but I do have a size 2.
Okay, that sounds good.
Would you like me to hold it for you?
Yes, please.
Okay, what is your name? The phone got really quiet, like he was hesitating. Then I heard someone in the background. It was his mom. Give her your name.
Tyler.
Okay, Tyler, I'm going to hold this shoe for you. So when you and your mom come in, just come up to the counter and tell us you have a shoe on hold under your name.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.
Absolutely. You have a nice day too. It was the most wholesome phone call I have ever experienced in my 4 years of retail. I love that his mom and him call and ask about his shoes. Today was a good day. Edit. I didn't think you guys were going to like my good day as much as you did. Thank you for the gold. I forgot to tell you guys the best part. He even made sure to ask where we were located. He said it just like that too.
Where are you located?
I'm happy Tyler could make you all as happy as he made me. That's so sweet. It sounds like the mom is teaching independence along with manners. A+. I'm 37, and this kid handled the call better than I would have. I'm sorry, we only have the low-top vans in all black. Me, since I didn't rehearse this unexpected turn of events in advance. Okay, bye then. 30 seconds after hanging up. Fuck, I could have bought those. That is generally how my brain kind of processes it. I'm like, oh, well, okay, I guess goodbye forever then.
Okay, well, I like those too.
This was wholesome for some reason, even though the shoes don't have feelings. Things like this are what make the rest of it worth it. I love that he paused at the name. He knows he's not supposed to give his name to strangers. 2 thumbs up for his mom. One time I called a customer about picking up a computer repair. I spent a lot of time on the phone. It sounded like Grandma may have had dementia and wasn't quite grasping what I was saying, but I also didn't want to just hang up the phone. I felt trapped and terrible. After a while, this woman takes the phone call over and lets me know that her toddler son was actually talking to me on the phone. I was so embarrassed and had already gathered a crowd of coworkers watching me patiently navigate the conversation with a toddler. I mean, it's not like you knew who was on the other end of the line. If they sound like a grandma, they sound like a grandma. Doesn't matter how old. Well, those were actually some pretty nice work stories. I'm a little surprised. But unfortunately, this video is over. Thank you all once again for watching. My name is Brandon, and I will make sound at you another day. Bye.